To install the flush-mounted unit LG100 with facade connection in single-room applications, you require the flush-mounted unit, a design front, the wall duct, the plastic grills, the exterior wall element, and the installation manual. The wall aperture for the flush-mounted housing should already be taken into consideration in the shell construction phase. For the electrical installation, a corresponding wall groove has to be milled out in the center of the wall aperture. Before the flush-mounted housing is placed into the wall aperture, the wall duct must be screwed together with the flush-mounted housing. The wall duct is provided with a slope towards the outside so as to prevent moisture penetration from the outside. The flush-mounted housing is fit into the wall aperture together with the wall duct. Depending on your requirements, 1 or 2 installation tubes for connection to the building services control system and the optional operating control unit are drawn into the wall groove. The flush-mounted housing must be fitted horizontally and vertically by means of suitable shims. The flush-mounted housing is provided with 4 mounting brackets, by means of which it can be fastened to the masonry. The mounting brackets are turned outwards to mark the drill holes. Then the holes are drilled, the dowels are inserted, and the flush-mounted housing is mounted to the wall through the mounting brackets using screws. The flush-mounted housing has now been fastened to the wall. The flush-mounted housing for single-room applications is foamed on the side shown. When the assembly foam has hardened, the installation tube must be shortened from the inside so that it is flush with the flush-mounted housing. In order to keep the housing interior free from dust and dirt during the further construction work, the housing is sealed using the plaster cover that is included in the scope of delivery. On the outside, the area behind the flush-mounted housing must be sealed by means of an ETICS compensating insulation, fixed with adhesive foam. With a brick thickness of 250 mm, it is flush. When the facade insulation has been fitted on the masonry, the wall duct must be shortened so that it is flush with the facade insulation. Then the exterior plaster can be applied. After having fitted the facade plaster, the plastic grills are mounted, either from the inside or outside, depending on the type. For the installation of the exterior wall element, the exterior plaster is applied and the mounting plate is inserted into the wall duct. The mounting plate serves as a template for the fixing holes, which are drilled with a 6 mm drill. When you have drilled the holes, remove the mounting plate and insert the insulation dowels supplied. Then, the mounting plate is put into place again and fixed using the 4 screws supplied. The weather protection grill is mounted and fastened at the sides. Upon completion of the shell construction work, the plaster cover on the inside is removed again. To establish the power supply, you require a power cable and optionally further cables for an operating control unit and the building services control system. Afterwards, the 4 screws are removed from the slide-in module for mounting on the flush-mounted housing. Keep the screws safe. The slide-in module is placed onto the flush-mounted housing in a slanted manner, allowing the connecting cables to enter the cable duct of the control. Then the slide-in module is inserted into the flush-mounted housing. To ensure that the insertion position is correct, the slide-in module must be inserted into the flush-mounted housing up to the point that the assembly aids touch the interior plaster closely. When the assembly aids touch the interior plaster, the correct position is ensured and the slide-in module is fastened to the 4 mounting angles of the flush-mounted housing using the screws removed previously. First, remove the control housing before connecting it to a power supply. The power cable must be firmly attached to the control housing using cable ties to ensure strain relief. The two air regulation vent plates must now be opened to allow the airflow to pass unimpeded across the design front. In a final step, the design front is mounted and the installation of the LG100 is completed.